Wednesday morning, the day before our intended day of pulling the airplane out of the water. We didn't get the 4 to 6 inches of snow overnight that the forecast said we were going to. I'm not going to complain about that. We are getting the rain that they were forecasting. It's been raining all morning, pretty heavy. It was supposed to warm up into the mid 40s, or low 40s, and it's only around 36 degrees right now. So this rain, it's melting the snow, but not very fast. Not near as fast as it would if it was a few degrees warmer. The other thing that we're not getting is the wind that they were forecasting. They were originally forecast to get 35, 40 mile an hour winds with 60, 70 mile an hour gusts, and that's not happening. We get a little bit of wind, but not near like that. But the driveway is open enough that I can get up and down it without any problem pulling the trailer with the airplane on it, so that's not bad. I've still got to go check the other roads that we've got to drive on, make sure they're okay, but I'm sure they are. So the plan on pulling the airplane out of the water tomorrow is still on, but it's questionable. The forecast is for heavy rain tomorrow and wind. So we're going to get 3/4 of an inch to an inch of rain today and 3/4 of an inch to an inch tonight, and then same thing tomorrow. The marine forecast is still showing high winds around the area. We're kind of in a shadowed area where we don't get the extreme weather generally as every place else does. Area is just a few miles north of us, but especially you get up to Juneau, Haines, Skagway, and even Yakutat, those guys are getting buried in the snow and high winds, so blizzard conditions. South of us today, Ketchikan, Craig, Klawock, those guys are getting that heavy wind, 40, 50, 60 mile an hour winds down there. And then Sitka, they're getting heavy winds over there and the heavy rain. So we don't get near the extreme weather as some of these other places do, and I'm pretty thankful about that. I'm pretty happy about that. Kind of funny, we complain about the weather here in Petersburg, how the Norwegians picked a bad spot, because there are many, many days when we sat on the ground here and couldn't fly, or finally got just enough to where we struggled and worked hard to get out of here, out of town, and we get out of town a few miles and it clears up. But that's a pretty good trade-off for not having 3 or 4 feet of snow and 30, 40 mile an hour winds all the time. So we got a little bit of work to do around here yet. I've got to go trim the branches off of one of the trees on the driveway that's grown out and got out over the driveway where it drags on the plane coming up the hill. And I've got to take electrical cord and a heater and charger over onto the excavator so we can get it started. We need the excavator to pick that middle door up and take it off. And we'll probably take an extension cord or a couple extension cords down to the airplane and put a heater in the engine and cover the engine compartment up there so that it's easier to start in the morning. And we'll get the trailer down here, check the tires and lights. A little bit left to do to get ready, but not too much. Just got to deal with the pouring down rain and cold. Well, it's Thursday morning, Thanksgiving Day. November 25th, about 8:30 in the morning right now. This is the day we're planning on bringing the airplane home. So far, it's not looking real good. We had heavy rain and real strong winds all night long. Still getting rain showers and still a little blustery out here, still a little windy. I don't know whether we're going to be able to do that or not. We've got time today. It's low tide at 9:30, but it's only a 5-foot low tide, so that's not too bad. The worst thing you got to consider right now is the wind. When it's blowing here, you know, you get out away from here, it's blowing pretty good. Weather Service says it's blowing 20 in town and 26 or so in Wrangell and 60 down at Lincoln Island. Oh, anyway, I don't know. It might go down a little bit too as the day goes by. I've got the pickup warming up now. I'm going to go ahead and take a drive around, take a drive down to the boat launch ramp where we're planning on pulling the airplane out and along town and stuff and see exactly how bad it is. It's not very pretty so far. We're pretty much ready. I've got to move the doghouse out from in front of the hangar, and then when we get the airplane up here, I can open the doors up. I'm not going to open those up until we're ready. The float plane trailer's down there. I shoveled the snow off of it last night. I got to check the tires, the wheel bearings. I don't know when our next window of opportunity will be to bring it home. The forecast all day is heavy rain, and tonight then it's supposed to get cold again the middle of the night tonight, start snowing. In the foreseeable future it looks like cold and snow, so this may be our only window. Okay, anyway, I'll go look around and see how bad the wind is out there and just check and see how big my gonads are or need to be. And we took a little drive down to the boat launch ramp, and I took a look at it down there, and it's blowing down there a little bit. There's a pass by Tonka Mountain and Twin Creeks there. The wind comes funneling down through there, and it's blowing pretty good there. Town, it wasn't too bad. I went ahead and got the airplane ready. I pre-flighted it, started it up, ran it up. I went down there to the airplane yesterday evening, and I took some extension cords down and a heater, couple heaters. I put a heater in the engine compartment, put the engine cover on it, and another little heater in the cabin to help warm it up and dry it out in there. Well, I didn't want to leave those on there very long, so we went down there and took those up, cleaned all that up, picked up the hose that I used to wash the airplane down with and some of the other stuff, and got that all ready. So the airplane is just about ready to go. I still will need to do a little bit of pre-flight and stuff, check it over the wings that I couldn't see when it's sitting on the ramp, and pump the rear compartments out of the floats. Well, I think we're going to do this. Kind of quit raining for a little bit now. We're between rain squalls, so we'll get some stuff done here. So the first thing I'm going to do is move that doghouse out of the way from in front of the hangar. We've got to have it out of the way so we can open that one door. And then I'll hook the trailer up to the pickup, start getting it ready to go. I guess I better get to it. I think this may be the last opening we get for a while to get this done. And it'd be better if it wasn't blowing. Well, it might be better today than it was last time I did it, where I had to land halfway up here and sit and drift around for a couple hours while the fog lifted, so until I could get into the boat launch ramp. But anyway, we'll see what we can do here. If it's too bad, I won't do it, but we'll go ahead and get ready and pretend like we're going to anyway. Well, I'm back down here at the Seaplane dock again. There's the Cub down there. Started out early this morning looking, and it was kind of blustery and heavy rain, and I was kind of questioning whether I was going to move this thing or not. Well, I came into town, and in between Tonka and Twin Creeks there, it was blowing pretty good there. It was pretty blustery, and down here in town it was pretty good, so I decided to go ahead and go with it. I'd come down last night, hooked up a heater in the engine compartment. I got those all undone, and we gathered everything up to take home. And then I kind of did a pre-flight on the engine, the front of it, pumped the floats out, checked everything there, and started the engine and ran it up, warmed it up for a little bit. Then we went back home and got things ready. It had quit raining for a while, and now it's starting to rain, heavy rain again. The wind had died down between Tonka and Twin Creeks. It died down quite a bit there. Here in town, it's pretty blustery. Well, anyway, I'm going to go ahead and go down there and finish pre-flighting the airplane, start it up, take off and head for the boat launch ramp so we can load the airplane up. So we came down earlier and pre-flighted the airplane, ran it up and everything. That was all good. What I've got to do now here is to untie the wings and untie the fuselage or the floats, slide it down into the water and spin it around, pull it back up on the ramp and check out the tail, check out the wings and stuff like that, and then finish pumping the floats out. The last two compartments down there on the floats, I can't pump them up on the ramp. The water will run away from the pump outs if they're sitting there like that. So got to turn it around and pump it out, check everything out on the tail and the wings, and then we'll be able to go. Blowing a little bit down here. It's going to be kind of a handful getting that airplane turned around and back up on the ramp, but I've done it before, I guess. Well, plane's ready to go now. It out to be a little more of a challenge than I could have hoped, or would have hoped. The wind is pretty blustery out here now, and just about the time I got the plane down in the water, the gusts really started coming in, and they're kind of coming the wrong direction. You can see the bullywahs working on the water there now. The flag is a whipping. Well, anyway, it was blowing the wrong direction. It tried to blow the airplane out to sea, turned it around the wrong way. It was a pretty good challenge getting it come in and getting it back up on the ramp. I thought I was going to have to jump on it and just go, but I really needed to get it back here backwards on the ramp so I could check out the tail and everything, make sure it was all okay, because it kind of hangs out in space there and then down close to the water when it's sitting here. Been there for quite a while without being checked. Wanted to check the wings and stuff, but I really needed to pump those rear float compartments. Turned out there wasn't much water in them, but those are back there on the back, and they're down close to the water, so they get waves coming over them and stuff with the boats and traffic and all of that. And if they've got a bunch of water in them, that's aft CG that can cause a world of hurt when you get ready to take off. So anyway, I'm ready to go, and again, it's pouring down rain here, but we'll go and get the plane out of the water. All right, here we go. It's raining pretty good. The wind is changing, starting to change a little bit, coming straight at me now. It was coming crosswind, but now it's coming straight this direction. Got about a 2-foot chop on the water, but not very nice, but we'll be able to get off pretty quick. But I got to taxi in this for a little bit and get the engine warmed up before I start to take off. The windshield is foggy a little bit. I've got the defroster on. That should help. Probably won't help a whole lot until I get in the air because everything's so wet in here. I got my raincoat is soaking wet. I'm pretty wet too, and that makes a lot of condensation. So anyway, let's get this thing warmed up and we'll be on our way.
Oh, it's hard to hold still when you're cold.
What's that?
Hard to hold still when you're cold. I said Doug did that when you come down. I thought I ran over it. Oh, look at the gusts.
I know. Yeah. It's just so windy. I didn't want you guys to have, if you need some help.
Yes, thank you.
I saw who you guys were. And I was like, well, it's got to be Carl. I was looking at the trailer as we backed in.
We got the plane all on the trailer. My wife had backed it down the ramp down here into the water, and I came in, but the wind is blowing almost diagonally across the narrows here, and it's blowing a lot stronger than it was earlier. I had to go around once to get lined back up again because it was blowing me off, but we got it on the trailer. And then a friend of mine just happened to be here pulling his boat out, and he helped us spin the airplane around on the trailer so we could get it lined up the right direction. So we get it strapped down now, and we'll be ready to take off. Well, the wind is blowing pretty good, but it's going to be blowing behind us going down the highway, so that's not going to be so bad.
Here he comes around that corner. It's 1:16. I gotta get up around this corner. You stay in here, dogs.
All right, we got the girl up here, parked in the yard. Now we got to get some fresh water and wash all the salt off of it and everything, get the trailer washed down, and then we'll unhook the pickup from it and hook the Bobcat up to it, and we'll bring it around and put it in the hangar. So we got to get the doors open on the hangar. Been waiting on that because of the way the wind's blowing and the rain and stuff like that. I didn't want to do that too soon, but so that's next up.
I set that other post down here.
Yeah, well, we'll take it out. We got the plane all pushed into the hangar. It's sitting there right now, pretty as you please. Had a little bit of trouble getting it in there. That's most trouble I've ever had getting it in there. One of the ramps wound up being taller than the deck of the trailer for some reason. The skeg of the float was catching on it and dragging it back instead of riding up on it, so it took a little bit to get that figured out. And then the winch switch on the winch wasn't working quite right. But we got it all figured out and got it in there. So now we'll see if we can get the doors to close. We got the first door closed. That went pretty good. Got the post in there. Carl's putting the bolts in it. I got 1/2-inch bolts that run through the upright post that kind of helps support the beam and helps hold the doors closed. We got a couple 1/2-inch bolts in there that we use to hold the door closed against that, and then a lag bolt it down here on the bottom. So that door went pretty good. This door over here will be the fun one because, well, we'll see how it goes. This one blew out pretty good when the explosion happened here in the hangar. That post there for that door broke, and we sistered a new piece on there. So the bolts that were holding the post to the door don't fit anymore. They're too short. Of course, today Thanksgiving we couldn't get the right size, but I found some 7/16 bolts. I'm going to put those in there instead. Well, that is a load off my mind. The airplane is in there, snug as a bug in a rug. We got the doors all closed up, and they closed just like they're supposed to. I went up there and untied the ropes on that tarp and threw it over. It's getting dark now, too dark to see. I have to wait till tomorrow and get the last strips out and tack that tarp down, or hopefully it doesn't get tore off. The wind's let down from what it was. Anyway, that mission accompli. Judy's been cooking turkey all day, so she's got a turkey in the cabin there, and we're gonna go grab it and go over to my son's place and have Thanksgiving dinner. And we'll go get the doghouse, put it back where it belongs, so Zen has a place to sleep tonight. Everything will be all good. Hey, cat. Well, it's flat calm today. Would have made it a heck of a lot easier getting that airplane up on that trailer. I wouldn't have had to take 2 or 3 tries to get it up there. And of course, flying it down here would have been a lot nicer. It wouldn't have been quite so rough. But we got up this morning and there was about 4.5 inches of snow on the ground. And it's wet, slippery snow. So towing that airplane on the trailer wouldn't have been much fun, especially trying to get it up the driveway here on this steep hill. So I think we did good by getting it home yesterday. The other thing, there's more traffic on the road today. Yesterday they only met 2 cars the whole time we were towing the trailer, so it turned out really good. I'm really happy we did it yesterday, and it's here now and I don't have to worry about it anymore. So we got it in the hangar and buttoned up yesterday. The doors closed and everything yesterday. I didn't get the tarp tacked down. It got dark and we had to go. We were already late for Thanksgiving dinner. We had to go have Thanksgiving dinner and eat one of my wife's fresh turkeys. So I'm going to go ahead and tack that down today. I'm going to make it a little easier on myself this time than I did last year. I'm going to go ahead and move that doghouse out of the way. I still have the forks on the Bobcat. I've got it warmed up, so I'll pick the doghouse up, move it out of the way, and then I can move the ladders around and make it a little easier to get those slats on there to fasten that tarp down with. So we'll get busy and get to that. There she is, all put to bed for the winter. My wife washed it all down good with fresh water, the whole airplane, floats and everything, before we put it in the hangar. You'd think after sitting down there on the dock for more than 2 months in the heavy rain and stuff we had, it would be all washed off. But of course it had to take off in the salt water and land in the salt water, and It was pretty windy out there, and taxiing out, getting ready to take off there while I was warming up the engine. At waves and chop and stuff, the spray was going clean up over the windshield, so it got drenched pretty good in salt water. We got a chance to get it all cleaned off with fresh water before we put it away. Though there's still drops of water on it. Have to wait for those to get dried out before we do anything else, any cover it up or anything to keep the dust off of it. This red pile right over here on the lower right side of the screen is an insulated engine cover. And normally I would put that over the engine, take the spark plugs out, put desiccant crystals in there, and put a little heater in there. And I would have changed the oil just before the last flight, so it was put away with fresh oil in it. But that engine is coming off of this year. I've run the time on it. The engine was a factory reman engine when I bought the airplane, and I run it 2,000 hours and then had it overhauled once, and now it's up over its overhaul time again. So I've got a fresh factory reman engine coming. So that's going to come off of there this winter and a new engine put on. I just got notified Wednesday that from the broker that I'm buying the engine from that they have not got word yet from Lycoming on when the engine's going to be delivered, but hopefully it'll be sometime, well, this winter. And it doesn't really matter to me. I don't have any chance to fly it. There's no flying it until late March, early April, so we've got a few months to go before we need to get it ready to fly again. I will put a low wattage heater in the cabin of the airplane. That helps keep it from getting damp in there, keep it from mildewing, and keep engine instruments dry and stuff like that. And then we'll have some work to do on it over the winter. There's some things that are going to be needed done to it for annual, of course, just normally maintenance items, but that stuff will all be done later. Right now, it's just in here and dry and secure. Don't have to worry about the sea lions crawling on it, or the seagulls pooping on it, or the crows pecking holes in the wings, or anything else. It's going to be just fine in here, as long as we keep the snow on the roof, off the roof, and the hangar doesn't collapse. So anyway, there's the old airplane all put away for the winter. I'm happy. Rest easy now. I had a couple of rough days there worrying about getting that home, so we got her.